One of the greatest strengths of a dad making a difference is his ability to be present, intentional, engaged with his family, with his coworkers, with his business, and with his community. But there are three barriers that stand in the way of men showing up. Three barriers that every single one of us, myself included, face on a day-to-day basis. Well, in this episode, I'm going to give you the three steps to take to break down those barriers, these common barriers that will stand in your way and in my way. And it's my hope that at the end of this episode, you will go with an action step this week with these three steps so you can start being a dad making a difference. This episode of the DMD podcast starts right now. Hello, my friend. Welcome to this episode of the Dads Making a Difference podcast. My name is Cam. I'm your host and founder of the Dads Making a Difference Mastermind, and I'm coming to you solo today. And on full transparency, I'm coming to you solo for one reason, and that is I am just home from a mastermind event where I had the opportunity to connect with so many men, primarily fathers, who are struggling with just showing up, with stepping into the role of being a dad. And to be honest, I have a couple episodes, recordings, interviews that I'm excited for you to hear that could have gone live today. That could have been the episode that you're hearing right now. One, I may never use, because after that conversation, I thought to myself, is this guest speaking to the men who listen to this podcast? And I don't know he is. So you might not never hear that episode, but the others I can't wait for you to hear. But I needed to come to you by myself today because I had some very powerful conversations with men, like I said, who are struggling with just showing up. Fathers of one child, fathers of four children, six children. Could you imagine having six kids? If you're listening to this right now and you have six kids, oh, man, power to you. Reach out to me, say, Cam, I have six kids. Here are their names. And I am going to send you something because you have six kids. And I think it's amazing. So let's get back to it. Troubles with showing up. And here's what I mean by showing up. When I'm speaking with men, and I'm listening with pure curiosity of why they are where they are, why they are succeeding, why they are struggling, why they have a strong relationship with their wife, why they don't have a strong relationship with their wife, why they might be succeeding financially or in business, or why they might be struggling financially or in business. If you haven't picked it up already, I use the 6 filters of growth, 6 pillars of growth that we talk about in the DMD as I'm listening to people, because I think there's so much to learn from other men and the men around us. Now, I have spoken about it so many times on this podcast, the power of community and the power of having like-minded, and sometimes not like-minded, but powerful, strong, influential men around you. Men who will speak into your life and hold you accountable, men who can encourage you, but men who can also ask you the right questions, because sometimes we just need to be asked the right questions. So this weekend, I was asking questions. I was asking questions of fathers of why they felt that they weren't showing up. And there was frustration on a couple fronts. They felt like they could be a better dad, that they could be more present, that they could be more active. And you know my passion for activity with our kids. They could be more active. They could have energy at the end of the day. They could be out and about golfing and climbing and walking and riding bikes and going swimming and all these things with their kids. They could do these things, but they don't do it. And then when I ask them why not, they don't really have an answer. And so through my curiosity and asking questions of these men, questions that I would ask inside our DMD mastermind group, I started to discover a couple common themes, things that seem to permeate between all the conversations. And I wanted to share 3 things that I think are showing up in men's lives that are holding them back from showing up, from being a dad, making a difference. and it's holding them back. And I wanted to dive into those three things today. And this reminds me, actually, I read a post, a past mentor of mine, his name's Vince. I read a post he had last year. I remember him saying like 3 culprits to men standing in the way of reaching their goals. And so I went back and I read that post, and it was very much in alignment with what I heard this weekend. And so I do want to give credit to Vince, because his post from last year triggered this thought process for me. And so here are 3 things that I think are standing in the way right now of men showing up. And if you're listening to this, I want you to make a mental note of these 3 things. And the first thing is integrity. And here's what I mean about integrity. Integrity is what you do when no one's looking, right? Integrity is that who you are is consistent with what you do, and that is consistent with what people see in you. So if people see you in a certain way because you act a certain way, who you really are needs to be in alignment with those 2 things. That's integrity. Integrity and a lack of integrity is not practicing what you preach, and so you don't do it. Here's an example. If I was to say to you guys, hey, you know my background, so fight the dad bod. If I was to say to you guys, hey, I want you guys eating what I say PFC every 3, and I want you hitting the gym at least 3 times a week. And I got on my Instagram account and I'm showing you the filters and I'm doing my stories, and hey, and if I just went to the gym 1 day a week, took a bunch of videos, posted them throughout the entire week so it looked like I was there every day, and send those out to make it look like I was doing what you think I'm doing, that's a lack of integrity. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't do that. I get up, I go to the gym, I grind through, I struggle. Man, do I struggle. I struggle in the morning. I'm not a morning person, and yet here I am still using the I'm not a morning person language. Okay. I am a morning person. I'm working to be a morning person. But getting up at 4:35 in the morning is not my cup of tea. But here I am. I'm working hard to do it. And there are many days in the last 3 weeks that I have missed. Not because I don't think it's important, but because sometimes I'll negotiate. And I'll negotiate with who I am and what I want to do. And so I find that the more that I'm negotiating in my own head, when that alarm goes off in the morning, oh, shouldn't I? When I go into the washroom to put on my workout clothes at 4:40, oh, shouldn't I? Oh, I walk outside, it's cold, it's rainy, it's snowy. Shouldn't I? And I continue to negotiate. I need to push through those negotiations and just do what I need to do. I need to act with integrity. If I expect others to do something to better their lives, I need to do that in my life. If I expect my children to respond to me in a way that is respectful, that is caring, that is loving, then I need to interact with my children that day in a way that is respectful, that is caring, that is loving, that is direct, that is intentional. All of that. So you need to put out what you expect to take in. And if you are not showing up, but telling everybody around you that everything is great, you feel like a great dad. Like if I got on here and told you I'm a perfect dad, I'd be lying through my teeth. I struggle with this at times. I struggle showing up. And in these conversations last weekend at the mastermind group, it was a common theme. I don't feel like I'm showing up. Well, do you not feel like you're showing up, or are you not showing up? And here's the truth, guys. If you're listening to this, if you feel like you're not showing up, you probably are. You probably are showing up, but you're not showing up in the way that you feel is the most effective, is the most genuine, is the most intentional. And so here's my challenge to you. Be intentional. So integrity, that's the first culprit. And I want to give you some tips right now on how to be more intentional, how to act with integrity so that you can show up. First, Wake up when you say you're going to wake up. I use this as an example. Guys, this week I am going to wake up at 4:30 every morning. I'm going to hold me to that. Send me a message. Cam, have you done this? Like, if you want me to, I will get up. I will screenshot when I'm getting up and send that to you. Like, accountability is part of it. So when I'm nailing my personal habits and I'm in alignment with what I think is important, I know I can show up better. So some of those personal habits, I'm going to wake up when I say I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to bed when I'm going to go to bed. So I go to bed at the same time every night. I wake up the same time every morning. Do that. Guys, I'm going to keep going, but that is one thing you can do right now that is going to change your week. Go to bed at the same time every night. Wake up the same time every morning. I'm going to stick to my diet. I'm going to stick to my nutrition plan. If I don't stick to my nutrition plan, I can feel it. And you would feel it too. And if you're struggling with nutrition, you need to find a plan that works for your lifestyle. You need to find a plan that integrates seamlessly into your life in a way that's plug and play, that you can follow, that you know is proven on science, because then you'll be able to stick to it. So for me to nail my personal habits so that I can show up with integrity, again, wake up when I say I'm going to wake up. I go to bed when I'm going to go to bed. I nail my workouts. I stay in alignment with my nutrition plan. I put my phone down. This is hard because this is how I connect with you. Okay. This is my window into your world and your window into mine. And it is how we build relationships. You see my posts. I see your replies. We start a conversation. I may send you a video, but this is what I do. This is how I love to connect with men, but I need to put my phone down. You need to put your phone down if you want to show up as a great dad. So have scheduled time, put that phone down, and just be off your phone. Be off your phone so you can engage with your family. Now, engaging doesn't mean being in the same place. I love going back to this quote I heard it first from Brendon Burchard. People want your presence, not your presence. So they want you there, engaged, alert, in tune with them. They don't just want the stuff that you buy them. So when you're engaged with your family, be there, be intentional. Take the weekend off. This is hard for me. Taking the weekend off is hard. I see the weekend as an opportunity for me to push. And if you're a dad right now who has a side gig or building a business while you still have a 9-to-5, I get it. You see the weekend as an opportunity for you to get up and get to it. But sometimes you just need to take the weekend off and then finish work at a certain time every day. Hey guys, I wanted to take a moment and talk about our community of DMD brothers in the DMD Mastermind. We are men who help each other to stay focused and intentional in our pursuits of personal, professional, physical, financial, emotional, and spiritual growth. We are a community of men who bring courage, wisdom, and transparency to unfiltered conversations that challenge us to be more impactful men, to be dads making a difference. We do this through our online and in-person events where men come together to speak into each other's lives and then turn around and do the deep work to create change in their families, in their businesses, and in the community around them. If you are wondering if this community might be right for you, you can find more information on the DMD Mastermind, and you can also book a call directly with me at dmdmastermind.com. Now, let's get back to our show. I had to pause there for a second because I'm like, am I going to tell him this? I'm going to tell him that sometimes I will finish at my actual work, my job. Then I'll come home. I'll spend some time with my kids for half an hour, engaged with no phone, but my brain starts going. Next thing you know, it's 5:45 and I'm back in my home office and just pounding away at some work. Next thing you know, it could be 10 o'clock at night. And the only interruption I've had is I've put the kids to bed. That is not the dad I want to be. That is not the dad that you want to be. So take weekends off. and stick to a schedule. Finish your work 4:30 every day. That's where I try to do it, but for you, it might be different. Okay, so number one, the number one hiccup or culprit or barrier standing in the way of you showing up is a lack of integrity. A lack of integrity is not doing what you said you're going to do. And so in order for you to do what you're going to say you're going to do, you need to stick to your habits and you need to have solid personal habits. Going over them again. Wake up when you say you're going to wake up. Go to bed at the same time every day. Stick to your workouts, stick to your nutrition plan, stay off your phone, engage with your family by being present. Take the weekend off and finish work at the same time every day so you can do the things above. Okay, number two. This is the second barrier. This is the second barrier that I think holds guys back from being energetic, involved, engaged, and showing up. And that's no input. No input. As fathers, as professionals, as husbands, as business owners, we are output, output, output. There's days I will come home and my wife will want to talk to me, and I can tell somehow in my face, I'm telling her I don't want to engage. And she'll say, "What's wrong?" And I simply say, "I've just been peopling all day." Now, you might get this. Now, I'm an introvert that works to be extroverted, and lots of people are that way. I recharge on my own, but I feel better when I'm around other people. Go figure, right? But I can't use that as an excuse. We need input. We output, output, output. My son in elementary school will say, "You can't pour into other people with an empty bucket," right? So you need to fill your bucket. And this is what input looks like. Input looks like reading and being part of a community. Because if you read, I love to read. Reading, I love to read and get into a book that I don't like and make the decision in my head that I don't like that book and put it down. But I'll still read it. I think it's great that we challenge ourselves to see what else is out there, to hear other people's thoughts, to hear what other people are working on or working through or going through or building, because it's input and it helps us be more creative. And when we are more creative, we can show up. So read and plug into a community. Of course, you're listening to this, then you're already plugged into the Dads Making a Difference podcast community. But if you are serious about surrounding yourself with a brotherhood, with your own personal group of advisors who can give you unfiltered feedback on the decisions in your life so you can be intentional about your personal growth, then the Dads Making a Difference Mastermind would be a fit for you. But you need to find a community around you, whether virtually like we're doing here, or in person, to give you input. So here's how I do that. 5 to 10 pages daily. You're like, "Oh man." Well, then start 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Read 3 to 5 pages daily. That's a place to start. I like to aim for 5 to 10. I think 5 to 10 is a sweet spot. I can get through 5 to 10 pages in about a half hour. And that's like really digging into those 5 to 10 pages where I take notes. I have my iPad here. It's like books I've read, and I'll take notes on everything that I'm reading. I just love learning. And so aim for 5 to 10 pages a day. So that's going to help you with new ideas. It will help you shape your perspectives and understand other people's perspectives. It'll help you with storytelling, structuring your day, and it will keep you inspired and motivated. Here's what I don't buy into. I don't buy into that I can motivate you. I don't think I can motivate you. I think I can give you some inspiration. I think I can give you example. I think I can give you information to follow that you will then create momentum, and that momentum releases dopamine in your brain, and that dopamine encourages you to keep going. That's really you motivating yourself. I can't motivate you. I can only show you the path. And then you got to do what you got to do with it. But here's the difference. With input, I can show you the path. And in your decision making, whether you're reading, it's going to help you decide which path to take. If you're in a community or brotherhood like the DMD, we are going to surround you with love. We're going to surround you with some tough love at times. It's not going to be easy all the time, to help you pick the right path. I can show you the path. You're going to need to pick the right path, and you're going to see what path is best for you. When you have input, you can show up. Okay, first one, act with integrity. A lack of integrity is going to be a barrier. Two, too much output, not enough input. So get some input. Read every day, surround yourself with the community. Number three, intentional activity. Here's what I mean by that. I remember reading in Vince's post, he said, he walked 70,000 steps a week. Okay. I do that easily because of my job. For you, you might have a job where you sit down 9 to 5. So 70,000 steps is going to be tough in a week. 10,000 steps a day, right? 10,000 steps a day. I like saying 70,000 steps a week because it really puts it in perspective. That's a lot of steps. But if you do that type of work, if you do the intentional work to make your health a priority, that is your physical health and it's your mental health. Because here's why. What do you do when you walk? What do you do when you drive? What do you do when you work out? Well, you're physically moving when you're working out and you're walking, but when you're driving, you're sitting and you often think. In all three of those scenarios, you can bring in number two, input. I used to listen to music all the time when I work out. And if you do too, great, do that. There's days I just need to rock my old Tiesto and Armin van Buuren. Yes, guys. Yes, guys, I was an EDM guy in the 2000s. Okay, so music is fine. But now I found myself listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks. And if I'm walking 70,000 steps a week, I can input while I hit this goal. And so that helps me find time to listen to audiobooks and podcasts, listening to my own thoughts. There's times I'm that guy in the gym who will have my AirPods in with the noise canceling, with nothing playing. And I'm lost in my own thoughts. Times when I'm driving, I just went to this mastermind. I had to drive 3 hours to the airport, 3 hours home from the airport. I've got quiet time and traveling in the airplane where I am just quiet. And I will drive and sit in my own thoughts. I will also sit and pray, and I will talk to God in that time. But these times allow me to listen to my own voice and my own ideas, which help me to be more creative, which is more input, which helps me to be more engaged, which helps me showing up and being present, and which helps me to create and craft a plan that will help me stick to my goals and my personal habits. So I'm showing up with integrity. It's all tied in together. I'd love to think that I solve my own problems all the time in these moments where I'm doing my 70,000 steps or working out or driving, being active, riding a bike. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm solving all the world's problems. But what happens is that you gain your own perspective and then you have an idea of what you want to do. And then you can bring it to your input group, your surrounding community, your brotherhood, and say, here is what I'm thinking. This is why I'm thinking it. This is why I think it will work. What are my blind spots? What can I be missing? And what do you think? Good idea or bad idea? And if you've given enough thought to it, and you have given enough thought to your own perspectives and your own conclusions, you will be more available to input, and they'll have much more positive effect in your life. Okay, so if all of this sounds like basic information, it is, but here's the catch. Showing up with integrity, focusing on input, not output, and then setting aside time. I said 70,000 steps a week, 10,000 a day, maybe it's 50,000 a week for you. The steps aren't important. It's the act of doing it and doing it in silence. Those things all require accountability, or you're going to fall off, and community. Accountability and community are going to help install those things into your life so you can show up as a dad making a difference. Making a difference. at home with your family, at work, in your business, and in your community. That's what the DMD is about. That's what this podcast is about. This podcast is about challenging you to be better, to grow. None of us have it figured out. We're all on a journey, but every single one of us has a greater purpose. You know it. You can feel it inside of yourself. You have a calling. And if you don't think you're reaching that calling, you think you're pushing forward and you can do it on your own, you're wrong. Because no one succeeds in fulfilling their purpose on their own, even though it's their purpose. Isn't that crazy? I would never fulfill my own purpose sticking inside my own head, not acting with integrity, not getting input, not having quiet time and doing my steps every week. I would never fulfill my purpose just doing those three things on my own. It takes community and it takes accountability. If you're searching for community, if you're searching for accountability, if you're searching for a brotherhood to surround you, to lift you up when things are hard, and to actually celebrate you when things are great, then the DMD might be a fit for you. So send me a message, cam@dmdmastermind.com, and we'll set up a call and see if it's a fit. Now, here's my goal for you. You're going to listen to this. We're going to go back. Here's a quick review. 3 things that are standing in the way of you showing up as a great dad: integrity, a lack of input, and no quiet time, or white space. I think Vince called it in his post. Just time to think, reflect, and listen to your voice and to your gut so that you can then bring that to your community. You need those 3 things, my friend. Do those 3 things. Start showing up, being a dad who's intentional and engaged, and you will become a dad making a difference. Do those 3 things. Let me know how you're doing. And like I said, if you are a man who's committed to growth, who is intentional about growing physically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, intellectually, then the DMD Mastermind may be a fit for you. Send me a message. See the stuff in the show notes here. My email will be in the show notes. Go to dmdmastermind.com and hear more about an opportunity that will change your life. Thanks for joining me on this episode today, this quick solo episode. Have a fantastic week, my friend, and I will see you next Wednesday on the Dads Making a Difference podcast.